You, the Starfleet Universe on call. And tonight, I was just about to get ahead of myself there. We got me, we got Barry, we've got Dave, and we got Russ. Thank you, Russ and David, joining me in the chat room. And Lord knows I didn't do a good job of broadcasting where I was going to be this evening and what the topic is going to be for the evening. I've only been did it like via Twitter. Didn't do it during Facebook or the discussion board or even in the Discord server. I've just been kind of crazy lately. Today it's just weird. But anyhow, this is going to be the last podcast before Christmas. And I have no ideas. Actually, I do have an idea for a topic, but that'll come up probably a little bit later. But the first topic for this evening actually is going to be about Christmas, or at least I call it Christmas spirit is what I call it, not necessarily. And might as well start with saying Merry Christmas, Barry.
Merry Christmas, Paul.
So,
yeah,
how
definitely. Good time of year.
Mm-hmm. Have you got your house all ready for Christmas? Actually, do you have a house or apartment at this point? I forget.
I actually was home earlier today, but now I'm driving west of Knoxville, headed to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So driving down I-40. Yeah, it's a long drive.
My wife was on that road just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I drove home Tuesday rather. But yesterday was my daughter's college graduation.
Yeah.
Big brag here.
Mm-hmm.
From Temple University in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She's got a good school.
Yeah,
great school.
Yeah, my ex neighbor, his son graduated from Temple.
And my daughter got a bachelor's of science in electrical engineering.
Awesome! Wow.
That makes her a fourth generation electrical engineer.
Dang, awesome.
Yeah, it runs in the family.
I assume she started looking for jobs and all?
Oh, she found a great job. So, what's that?
Where? In Philadelphia area, or is it in New York or someplace else?
No. It's in Virginia. So,
northern or southern?
Manassas. Not far outside. I guess it's 20 minutes out of the Pentagon. So I only know the name of the company she's working for. I will not ask her, and she will not tell me what she will be doing. I presume that she's going to be doing a lot of military stuff, but it's Lockheed Martin.
That's military. That's a lot of military, though. I think that don't they also do some civilian planes?
Yes, I believe they do have civilian planes, but from what I understand, they're mostly military.
Right.
So
that's where the big bucks are.
I don't want to know what she's doing. I don't want to ask, and I don't expect her to tell me, and she hasn't.
Understood.
So that's the way I want to keep it. Yeah.
Understood.
Yep.
Yeah. So got all the wonderful things happening here. We got things set up for Christmas. The crazy part for us this year is that this past year we got a chest, which we keep in the dining room. There's only one minor problem with that chest. We have no place to move it. The only reason that's an issue is because last year, that's where we put the Christmas tree. So we don't have a Christmas tree up this year because we had no place to put it. When you move from a 3,200 square foot house to a 1,400 square foot house, things have to change.
How many square feet do you have now?
1,400.
Oh, that's a huge house compared to where I'm at.
You're down to like 800 or something?
What's that?
Wow, what's the size of your house, dude? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, since you were at our house, my son has taken the front bedroom, and we've rented out the downstairs. Which isn't a problem, but well, you've seen our upstairs kitchen and living room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is literally half our square footage, that one room.
Wow.
That's not a big room.
No, that's you're basically right now at this point you have an apartment is what you got.
Well, let's put it this way. I come home and it's like I don't even have a place to put my suitcase.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood.
I have more room in a I can open up my suitcase and leave it open in a hotel room. Can't do that at home.
Yep. Understood.
Yeah. But then again, I'm never there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. This is, of course, a time for counting our blessings, and Lord knows we have many. And
absolutely.
And one of those blessings that this, in my mind, is that Steve Cole is still around.
Yeah, that is a blessing.
And he has surgery scheduled for February, I think it is. He announced it on the discussion board.
What surgery?
I forget what the surgery was. He was supposed to have it like a month or so ago. I'm just going to see if. Okay, Leanna had her surgery when she had her surgery in October. And that's why he had to delay his, because otherwise there was no way to get around town. Okay. I'm just seeing if I can find the information because I don't remember. Okay. Okay, I'm going to check one more time, and if I can't check the last time, I'm just going. Oh, okay. So yeah, Steve's original surgery was scheduled for the 15th of October. Okay, Steve. I talk about regimented diet. Oh, he's supposed to have weight loss surgery.
It's a what?
Weight loss surgery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, agreed.
What, one of those laparoscopic bands or something?
Well, it's not sure. I don't think he mentions that. Okay, but his his surgery is scheduled for 28th of January. Leanna is supposed to get released and be declared to be able to walk and drive on the 8th. And then after that, he has start a 2-week special diet, which he actually previously announced what that was. His Steve Cole's kind of surgery said that Medicare insists they use on a Monday, so it slides to the 28th. Right, blah blah blah. Okay, which is interesting.
Well,
but yeah. Hey,
well, he will be in my prayers.
Yeah, and definitely. I think a lot of people's prayers, and definitely. anyone's listening, obviously keep him in your prayers, especially near his surgery date.
Yes.
Hopefully it will help him, because I'm assuming, with the weight and all, it's not exactly helping his knees and things like that.
Yeah, but that's actually a pretty major one from what I understand. Or is it? Maybe, I don't know.
Which one? You mean
the stomach?
Well, you
put a band around the stomach.
The band it's relatively simple. You stay you stay overnight, and then you're usually discharged next day.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's my wife. She had a band, and that's what she did.
Yeah.
Definitely the whole thing where they cut out part of your intestine. I really don't agree with that one at all, because in my mind, you're really altering your body to the degree where you are really you're asking for trouble.
Right. Oh, I understand.
Absorption of nutrients and so forth becomes an issue, and all that kind of thing. So it's like, let's skip that. That's why my wife originally went for the band.
Oh, got a question for you. I friended you through the Ages app. So I found Andromeda and I friended you. But did you receive that friend request?
Oh, which friend request?
Well, there's the app through the Ages where you created a username.
Yeah. I apologize. I have not actually had a chance to bring it up since you created the game. I'm sorry.
Well, I created a game. It expired. I created a game with no expiration, and it went away.
Okay. I'll do something about that. Give me a sec here, because Russ actually mentioned something on the chat. Oh yes, Russ. Okay. Cool. Sorry, what I was reading about is actually Russ is our local monster creator. He's created a few monsters, and he even did a video for me. Yeah, of how he was using. I think it was Vizio. I think it was. Russ can. I'm sure Russ will correct me. And how he used it to actually test his monsters out, which actually was quite interesting. But also, yes, Russ, I would love if you had a recording of it, and I would be happy to either insert directly into the podcast here, because actually I have a way of doing that, of actually adding it to the live feed so people can listen to it, and also it can be recorded at the same time, which would be okay. Cool. I did remember right. It was Vizio, because Russ was doing certain things in Vizio which I didn't think you could do. And it's like it was almost like a program creating a program within Vizio. So I was like, wow. So
well, the last time I used Vizio was a long time ago. I'm sure they've improved it quite a bit. And yeah, I guess back when I was using it, it was used for static flowcharts, but I guess you can use it for programmatic stuff now.
Well, some of the things that he did was where he had different elements actually react to different events.
Right. Okay. So you can put events and stuff like that. And that's part of Visio I've never used before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wow. I didn't realize it had that capability. But now you mention it, yes, it must.
Yeah. Yep. It was really awesome what Russ did. But yeah, Russ, please, by all means, I would love to have some additional content to put into the podcast.
Yeah.
And and if need
So
be,
when he says monster creation, is this like for what game?
SFP,
D&D or
SFP,
what's that? Oh,
SFP.
SFB monster.
Yes.
Okay. Space
Yeah.
monsters.
Space monsters, all kinds of wonderful things. He tried. He submitted a few to ADB, and they've been rejected. But he tries to, in some cases, for different reasons. But one of those things, obviously, is he wants to make sure he can play test the monsters. Though I think I got one of his monsters, and there's certain things that I just did not like about the way it worked. I think when it comes to movement, and I forgot how long it's been a while since so I can't quite remember exactly what that was.
Okay, which monster would that have been?
Oh, I forget. Monsters that don't exist yet, Barry.
What's that?
Monsters that don't exist. He's creating them.
Oh, okay.
Like, do I still have it? Give me a sec. Let me see if I still have emails for SFU on call. No, a Kraken was one of them.
Okay.
Also, he did a bunch of ones for the Halloween Monster SFU on call, which he recorded. Did some stuff for last year, which was quite cool. Yeah, a recording that he had for the Visio stuff was for the Kraken.
Okay.
And
so this generates a random monster.
No, it doesn't generate a monster. He was creating rules for a monster to use in a scenario.
Ah, okay. Okay, so I'm confused what Visio was used for.
For playing the game. He played SFB in Visio, and then he would record. Gotcha. He'd have it as part of a recording of the game, so then he'd go review that game to say, okay, was the loss or what the outcome was? Why did it occur that way? Did it occur because of tactics involved? Did it occur because of the randomness of the dice? Did it occur because there's something wrong with the monster itself, the rules for the monster itself?
Gotcha.
This is all kind of analysis stuff that as playtesters that you need to do. Because a good playtester will at least give you here's my playtest report, i.e., here's the game I played. These are the tactics involved. These are the movements that were done, and all this kind of things. And possibly even at the end, you might give some suggestions or what you think you found. But Russ is doing this for himself. He's doing his own reviews. Which is always a difficult thing.
Yeah, I may lose you at some point. I'm climbing. I don't know if you're familiar with Tennessee, but west of Knoxville, there's an escarpment, and I'm climbing the escarpment right now.
Okay.
So, yeah. And usually cell signals are pretty good on interstates. And this is a major interstate, I-40.
Oh, I know.
But it is hilly terrain.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, just a reminder that Russ pointed, just reminding me they used Visio as a playtest environment to log everything from what happens. He actually, he adds actually different, logs the actions that are taking place, including not just movement, but also, firing weapons, or the monster attacks and uses this kind of attack, things like that.
Right.
Also, what he said also points out that what I'm planning, thinking at the moment in the game, which is one of those things that I kind of did with a recording of one of the games I play, which I'm still waiting for my dear sweet round 2 player to get home. Basically, you hear about the issue in Gatwick, Barry?
What's that?
Did you hear about the issue at Gatwick, the airport at Gatwick?
Oh, that's in England, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
No, what happened?
They're having drones buzz the freaking airport, and they have shut down the airport. Oops. Trying to get rid of these drones because people are sending these drones, which are making it unsafe for them to take off. Have the planes take off. So at the moment,
why are they doing that? Just because?
You got me. They haven't found the people who are flying these drones.
Oh.
Somebody flying drones into the airspace of the airport, and until they can shut down these drones, are not going to allow any flights taking off or landing.
Yeah.
So
now you got to ask the question: if that's happening, at some point they're going to say, "Okay, we'll set up and take one of these drones out, and then go over it with a fine-tooth comb for fingerprints and stuff like that."
Yeah, the tough part is going to be finding a safe way of doing it, because they thought about shooting it out of the sky, but they're concerned about stray bullets.
Well, yes.
Yeah, where they're going to go.
That's what shotguns are. That's what shotguns are all about.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, at the moment, my dear sweet opponent for my Masters tournament is stuck in Gatwick.
Oh. Can't get out. That sucks.
Yeah. When you shut down the airport, you can't get out, dude.
Yeah. How long has this been going on?
It started, I think it's just been going on today. And he was supposed to fly out today. And what did he say in the email? The email, he said, a pseudo terrorist, i.e., this drone person, has shut down Gatwick for 36 hours with a couple of drones, and he's stuck there with 10,000 other people for several days. So,
ouch.
Yep.
Ouch. Yeah. Yeah, I suspect there's going to be some prison time for whoever's doing it when they finally catch him.
Yeah. Questions. Will they catch him or not? Yeah. So sooner or later, the
eventually they.
Oh yeah, agreed.
If they keep it up, eventually they'll catch them.
Agreed. The question: how long?
Now, hopefully, yeah. Now, what do they do if it's like a 10-year-old kid? But.
Agreed, and I'm sure it's illegal to fly drones inside of an airport. The airspace of an airport.
One could only presume, yeah.
Yeah, because I know it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I would believe that that'd be the same thing in the UK. You know,
One can only presume. And if it's not illegal yet, it will be right now. They will pass that legislation.
oh, agreed, agreed. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I have to wait for a bit. I'm hoping to continue my game. Actually, that's one thing I need to do, which is look up what is the maximum length of a video, because I currently have around a 2.5 hour video, which is part one, quote unquote, part one. I'm not sure how many parts it will be, but can I upload this whole 2.5 hour video, or do I need to split it up into smaller videos?
Right.
Yeah. But the whole
I don't know.
Right, the whole idea of the video is so basically to have people, be maybe a little more excited about SFB as who was it? Patience Zero on YouTube. He's kind of frustrated by that I'm not showing more gameplay videos, and it's like, okay, dude, how? Where do I go to actually record a full game video? And then
right.
you know true, there are certain things I can do to help that situation, which I need to work on. I.e., one of those is send out a mailing or two to see if I can get some volunteers to be more upfront, because we used to do this a lot. Previously we used to announce, okay, we're going to be playing our game online at 9 o'clock on Eastern time on Thursday, or something along those lines, and then so that people could stop by and watch. But that rarely happens these days. So see if I can get people to email me and tell me that they're going to be recording, they're going to be doing a game, and I can record it. Now, another thing that was, of course, brought up was speed of play. SFB speed of play is much slower than, let's say, X-Wing, which is the one thing he keeps on showing me. Because the game will be over in like an hour.
Right.
Well,
especially Battles was never known for fast play.
Exactly. So one thing actually we did discuss 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, because it was one before the Christmas gift episode. And that was the whole idea of speed play for SFB speed play.
Well, remember the old Starfleet Command?
Mm-hmm.
The computer game. It was real time.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely real time.
It's a shame that went down the tubes, because that had promise.
Well, of course, it has promise. And then they had the license from Paramount. Paramount pulled the license. Well, actually, no. First, they had to appease Paramount. At least this is the way I see it. I don't know if this is truly the case, but this is the way I feel about it. Which is Paramount. They had to appease Paramount, where they had to use more modern, more up to date, Star Trek stuff. When they had to license it through Paramount instead of licensing it through ADB.
Right.
So, they had a year, and Paramount didn't like the return on investment, and they pulled the license, and that killed it.
Yep.
So, so Starfleet Command is, that killed it right there. So we were discussing the whole idea of speed play, and of course the biggest issue with speed play in my mind is penalties. What do you do if the player goes past the allotted time?
Right.
I figure for SFB, the only penalty you can give for when it comes to movement is just you have to go straight
You
because
do what?
you have to go straight. You can't
Oh,
turn. You
okay.
can't turn. Can't slip. You have to go straight. And if you go right into a wall, you go right into the wall.
Well, the other thing is if you wait too long, well, you could also you can do it one of three ways. Either make them go straight, but what happens if they're sitting there trying to figure things out during impulse activity? Do I
That's
want a tractor? Do I want
well.
a
That's
fire?
Barry. That's different. Because it's split up
Okay.
into movement versus action. You've got 30
Yeah.
seconds. Well, you got. I think it was like you had like 15 seconds to decide on movement.
Okay.
And I think it was like 30 seconds to decide on an action.
Oh, if you don't use the action, then it goes away,
Right.
or you lose the opportunity to do it. Action.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
You know. And there's one thing that maybe
Interesting.
maybe you know, but because I don't know. I've seen many times when people play chess, you have that timer. What's that? You know what that timer's used for?
I think that I haven't played speed chess before, but I think that if you run out of time, you lose the game automatically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because the biggest issue I when I discussed speed play was EAs. What in the world do you do with that? And the best thing I could come up with was basically use the priorities that are done via damage. What's it? I call it like reallocation due to damage, but it was energy balance due to damage. That rule.
Well, the other thing you could do is you start with full power, and then you have a certain amount of time. And the further over your time you go, you just start losing points of power.
That's a possibility there. So it's a gradual penalty because what I was thinking was basically the energy balance due to damage. Use those rules for a hierarchy of what it would do. It would first speed. It would select the speed for you that was valid, then weapons, and then shield. Well, I would start obviously with the standard stuff. How what we call housekeeping. Then go down to speed, and then go down to weapons. And basically allocate for you. Obviously, your option of actually decreasing the amount of power that you have available to you, I think it actually might be a better idea, just because of that it's a lot easier to implement. It's like the old SFB tournament rule, which is if you're late for your appointed game, you take hull hits until you run out of hull, and then we start rolling the DAC. Until you got there. Forget. I'd have to look. I'd have to bring out the tournament rule book to find out what was the time scale of that. I.e., was it like every 10 minutes you got another whole box, or what? Was it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15? Minute? I don't think it was a minute. I think it was like somewhere like 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. You get a new whole box would be marked off. But as I said,
then you could still show up an hour late and still have a almost fightable ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, I have to look at the time scale. Because I said it might be a minute. For each minute, you get a whole box not marked off, which means within an hour you have an unusable ship. Possibly even after half an hour, because as I said, after you go through all the hold, then you start rolling the deck. So
I'd say a half hour you have an unfightable. You're not going to be. There's no possibility of winning at that point, no matter what you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the whole idea of
and Andromeda would really get screwed on that one.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding, because when you start, if you lose your batteries, you're dead. It's simple.
Yeah, and the Orion would get screwed pretty quick too.
Yeah. Yes, Russ. Yeah, that was the other thing that Russ was doing, which is his conger eels. Okay.
Yeah.
He said he finally refined his conger eels to where fighter pods will tremble in fear, as I had always intended for them to do, a knife edge scenario from start to end, where my only concern at this point is it's too sharp. Yeah. You can't have it that fine of an edge, because people have to be able to make a mistake and not lose just because of a single mistake.
Right. Now, with time limits, now you're just talking about ships, but what about seeking weapons and fighters and shuttles?
Well, it's all movement.
Okay.
You have 15 seconds to move everything that you own.
Has to go straight.
Now, as I said, no, I haven't said, but when I said back in the podcast, one thing that this would only work for tournaments. This would not work for fleet battles. Fleet battles are a totally different animal, and I don't think there's any way to really speed it up.
Yeah. Now, here's a bizarre thing. What if I want my seeking weapon to go straight, but it normally wouldn't? And I just say, I'll just wait, and then it has to go straight. Or do I wait, and then it has to do what it would normally do?
No, well, for most part, in my mind, seeking weapon shouldn't have it. You'd move it like you normally would movement. It's just that you still use seeking weapon rules. The only, obviously, the one thing that people always are, you have one choice, and you have to take it. There's no, I moved it. Oh no, I want to move it over here. I want to do a side slip instead of going straight, or I want to turn instead of doing a side slip. You get to move it after the 15 seconds. You get to move it once, immediately. You have nothing else. If we really want to make a penalty out of it, destroy the seeking weapon. Say it's gone.
There you go.
Because I thought of some other ideas for it, which was some of those ideas were as simple as just saying, okay, the ship doesn't move. But that would be a benefit. Because basically you're turning SFB into FedCom. But worse, but very much worse. Because of, at least in FedCom, it costs you a point of power to stop. Not stop, but kind of cancel movement. It costs you something.
Yeah.
So I would love to have a little more action in SFB, but SFB is what SFB is. As I said, we could increase the play so that it requires minimum. So a maximum of 15 seconds per turn. Now, that makes it okay. what's 32 divided by 4 is 8. That means
Yeah.
each turn would take, for movement, it would be 8 minutes.
Right.
Now, at the same time, each turn you have to give the person at least, like, let's say 30 seconds to decide on action. So if that means you have to add that into it, so that's another 16 minutes. So 16 plus 8, so each turn can take a maximum of 24 minutes. Which is a pretty fast game if you think about it. But
no doubt about it. Now, that's plus energy allocation.
Plus energy allocation, which should give people 5 minutes.
Yeah. So if you have a seeking weapon that's automatically destroyed, if you don't move it in time, I could see some tactics where you might want to destroy a seeking weapon. That'll destroy it. For example, like a plasma torpedo that you don't want them to know whether it's pseudo or real. I just won't move it. It went away.
That's true. It's self-seeking.
Sorry to throw the monkey wrench in there, but
in that case, it just shows you that you can't do that. You have to basically do a quick move at that point.
Yeah.
If necessary, when it comes to the client could actually handle, do auto move for all seeking weapons.
Right.
And if that be necessary in the client, do it.
If there's a possibility of two moves, it might randomly pick.
Right. And I would think also for some, the automatic move stuff for seeking weapons, that could actually be, that could be a requirement for speed play, which is you no longer get to choose exactly where your seeking weapon is. The client will decide for you.
Or here's an even better one: do a random move for ships too. So you're sitting there, you're fussing, and all of a sudden, hey, I turned left. Oh, crap!
Yeah, but Barry, I'm not talking about doing random moves, forcing people to do random moves at this point. What I'm talking about is for to speed up play. If you're playing speed SFB online, have it so that if you're playing it, there's an automatic movement system for seeking weapons, and during speed play, it would automatically you'd be forced to use it. So the client controls that you no longer have to move your seeking weapon; you just have to move your ship.
And the seeking weapons automatically move themselves.
Right.
So
it takes that bit of part out of the equation.
That could change things drastically, because what if I deliberately set my, I've seen people deliberately jinx drones around so that they can bypass another drone.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
For example. And now that might not be a possibility.
Correct. But this is all, it would be all in the name of speed play. It's not the idea is not to penalize it, because I'm sorry, there's no way, it's a rare thing. I mean, rare thing that anyone would actually try to do that, because of the only reason you would want to try to avoid a drone is if you think that drone's target on your drone.
Yeah.
And how often does that occur?
Right.
Because of all the games I've played, I might have done that when it comes to a tournament game. I might have done that once, maybe twice, but it's a
Well,
rare.
you normally play drone using races.
That's true. But when I do play drone using races, and against another drone using race, I usually don't launch the drones at at the drones themselves, because most of the time in that case you want to use drones as a terrain feature. You want to you're trying to force your opponent to go where you want him to go. Now, if you're down on weapons, yeah, that's one way to keep the number of drones down. But even that, that's one thing I'd have to look up the rules on, because that's always something that was, to me, was always kind of quirky. Because here's the thing: if you have a drone target on another drone, that means, in theory, that the drone that is basically targeted on another drone, that one should always go last.
Yes.
Because it's targeting on a drone. Now, the thing is, drones invariably they all move at the same time.
Correct. And so therefore you almost have to announce the target even though it's not been ID'd.
You don't have to announce the target, but you have basically, it's one of those meta things where just by your action of having to wait for the drone that is your target to move first, you've already given away that you have a drone target on that drone.
Correct.
So that's one thing I haven't looked up the rules on, but because most of the time it's rare that
there are specific rules about that.
Right, I'm sure there are, and the thing is, I don't think that many, that situation really occurs that often. Because normally what happens is you got the drones are targeted on the ship, the drones that are from the ship are targeted on the drones. So that immediately means that the drones that are targeted on the ship have to go right through the drone, have to go through the drones that are targeted on the drones. Invariably, So
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But where you could have an interesting situation is if you have a 32 speed drone and a 20 speed drone. And the 20 speeder is targeted on the 32. And the 32 might be able to jinx around,
right,
so that it goes past the 20.
In theory, agreed.
Yeah. And certainly, if I suspect that somebody has launched a 32 speed at me, I know it's 32 speed, but if I suspect it's large, that certainly is something worthy of sending a 20 speed small drone up against it, just because it's a real cheap drone taking out a real expensive one.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So that's a worthy target.
Yeah, but again, the only time that will occur would be if you are basically, the drones are coming in at an angle, and you have the ship going follow when the whole idea of crossing the T. It's actually following the top of that T, so that your drones might fall a little behind, or at the very least, can be possibly jinked around. But but again, this is one of those things that would be known. The the whole idea of speed SFB when it comes to an online game would be to go as fast as possible, and that'd be one way of doing it. So now you no longer have the person. The person has less control, but that speeds up the game a little more. Now, obviously, for the most part, when it comes to tournament play, you don't have a. For the most part, you don't really have. You're really thinking a lot about where that drone's going to be moving or that seeking weapon's going to be moving. You got a pretty good idea because you want either going, you want it being leading the ship or following the ship. Which one? And you know which one you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So in theory, it shouldn't be an issue. It's like the whole idea with limiting pitching mounts visits for a game, a major league game. The whole idea of that was to keep speed up play in a minor manner, just to keep things going. Just like the year before, 2 years ago, they decided that okay, instead of actually having the pitcher pitch out, for the intentional walk, you just say okay, basically tell the batter that you get first base, and there's the whole situation where one you no longer have to waste the time throwing the ball. That saves the pitcher from throwing the ball. Also, in that case, part of that was to speed up play. So then you don't have these 4 pitches, which is a minor thing, and also the number of actual occurrences of intentional walks is very low. Number of intentional walks per game is probably, for most games, it's 0. But the most I've ever seen is like 5 intentional walks. 5. So you're saving 1 or 2 minutes over the course of a 3-hour game. It's like the whole TSA security theater. It kind of shows that you're trying to do something, but are you really having an effect?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm driving through very thick fog right now, and I'm paying a lot of attention to the road.
Please do, because I had the nastiest travel I've ever had in my entire life. Which was let's see, last Friday, December 14th. December 14th, when I went to pick up my daughter from Mansfield. They said there was.
I remember you. Yeah, you said it was like driving through hyperspace.
Yeah, it was basically I figured, okay, all the way up, okay, it's daylight, it's foggy, okay. It wasn't easy, but I made it up there. I was concerned about deer jumping out in front of the car and so forth. But what was worse is when I came back down, and I went from seeing clearly to seeing only 10 feet in front of my car, where I almost missed the entrance ramp to Route 81. And when I got on 81, what I did was I was following the line on the side of the road. I couldn't see. I could barely see in front of me. The only thing I could see in front of me is lights of other cars. And just to make sure I stayed on the highway, I was following the line, with the white line on the side of the road.
Right.
That's the only way I could stay on the highway. In fact, of course, there's only one minor problem with ever doing that. Exit ramps. That white line goes along to the exit ramp. So I always had to keep an eye out for those exit ramps. So like, oh, no, I can't do that. I have to go straight here and make it to the next white line.
Right. Well, I'm through the fog. I'm on a 5% grade going down.
Mm-hmm. Cool. But yeah, that was one thing we were obviously discussing. This, boy, Christmas spirit. That part of this podcast quickly ended. I went through that pretty quick. But anyhow, I'm about to bring up the other topic for this the evening. That I was brought to my attention, which is obviously that the SFU Online current client is pretty old, and it is. It's quite old. But the biggest issue with that, it's one person. Let me bring up. Here it is. Mark. Somebody tells me I won't see any actually reply from any either Dell, Bristol, or Mark McCulloch. Yeah, Dell was mentioning he was just concerned that the technology used to create the client is going to be old and outdated. At some point, will stop working. And it's based on Java, and Java will be supported for quite a few years. I think we're good for at least another 5, if not probably another 10.
Right.
Because even if Oracle supports the client, makes it so Java is purely the server based, and the client stuff will have to be completely open source. Well, we can go completely open source, and we will be fine.
Right.
But the
other thing you could do is go to C#, maybe.
Will that run on Linux? Will it run on Mac?
I don't know. I would presume they do.
Well, it depends on when you say C#. C# in what context? What's the framework using for the UI work?
Right. I was under the presumption that C# was Microsoft's answer to Java.
It is under Windows.
Right. Okay.
Now, one thing which leads me into the other one, which is Mark mentioned that what you could do is you could redo it like using like Unity. Because he said was okay. Things have changed a lot in 10, 15 years, and that no kidding. Today, there are several different ways of doing this. Something like SFU through existing editors, i.e., different products. Things especially as simple as SFU, which I don't think he understands how complicated SFU Online really is.
I've seen some of the code. There's a lot of it.
No, there's definitely a lot of it, and there's a lot of it that you don't see. See, that's the crazy thing is that it's like, have you actually thought about some of this stuff? Because I've done a little bit of Unity programming, just a little bit. I did a really simple. Here's my counter. Moving my counter around the board using the keyboard to actually control the actual ship, and it worked worked quite well. I had to use a new again. Since this is Unity, the background is what? It's a static image. And then you have another game object, which is the actual counter, which you move around the board. I'm also did a little work on SFB, Starfleet Battle Force, right? Doing some stuff for that under Unity, because it helps that there's a tutorial on how to do card games. So it's like, hey, that's one way of doing it. Anyway, I think extensive work we're going to be done on. So we only would probably actually be less work to redo it through a modern game editor or even Unity. It probably is much less work because the modern editors are so efficient, and something like SFB is so simple. It's like, no, it's not. And you end up much better version of SFB Online than trying to update the ancient existing version. And one thing I point out to him that, I play around with Unity. The big issue with SFB Online, it would be, as I point out, the top part would be the custom UI, like taking a ship definition that we have describes all of these ships, loading that into memory, drawing the boxes that need to be drawn, and then allow down. Okay, you have that object. Now you have to do damage allocation on that object.
Right.
It's one of those things that I'm not so sure Mark has actually played SFB. It's like, dude, have you ever tried playing it? Have you actually used the online client? Have you actually thought about what it takes to write the stuff that's behind this UI? Because the UI is only 10%. The UI is only 10% of the code.
Server size 90%.
Yeah, you got the communication. You've got the damage allocation. You've got the energy allocation. There's other.
Right.
Okay. Does things like Unity or things like that support the simple concept of tables, like a spreadsheet? Because for SFB Online, spreadsheets are really important because you use those tables to represent multiple facets, from the energy allocation to the actual speed, the impulse chart, to also a couple of things that I use. Also use table force, which is showing what's your drone loadout.
Right.
What is your shuttles? What are the shuttles? Okay, bring up a window which shows the loadout for that shuttle, or the loadout for that shuttle or fighter. When it comes to things like, I'm thinking about this. Okay, of course we have the SSDs. Okay, how do you represent them? How do you manage the number of SSDs that are required to play SFB Online?
Yeah.
I know there are ways of Unity actually you can get communication modules, but okay, how do you send the communication back and forth? That's one of the things that has been built up, which is the whole idea of events. Okay, you have different kinds of events that gets worked on. One of the things, obviously, that would be a good idea is redoing the back end when it comes to communication, which I really would like to do. So, because I have changed it from the original functionality of SFB Online. The original functionality of SFB Online client was that everybody owned the canonical copy of their stuff, which doesn't always work out because the shared elements.
Yeah.
Who's the master? What's the canonical copy of that information? I.e., things like what's the impulse number? What turn are you on?
That's good question. That should be, I guess, the server should keep track of that.
Right, exactly. And so when you do that, that there should be a central repository for that It's like, okay, well, why don't you put all the canonical data on the server, and then everyone else is just a client of that canonical copy, which is one of those things that I did many years ago for SFB Online. I changed
Makes sense.
the server itself so that it actually would save all the canonical copies to the server. Now that we still have events that occur, i.e., things like activities. Activities are event. You have an event which says, okay, someone has an activity, so that communicates to everyone and say, okay, bring up an activity window.
Right.
And things like that. So it's like, okay, how do you do that? I'd have to look at Unity a heck of a lot more to all that. Now, the one thing that I have not looked at, and there's a slim possibility I could do this. Actually, it's not too bad. I have to look at Dart, because Dart looks somewhat like Java, and I have to look at it a little more, because it has some of the context of Java. The whole idea of extends, you can extend a class and things like that. As a programming language, it's quite close to Java. Big surprise, just like C# is quite close to Java. And actually, I was listening to a podcast and actually watching the live feed for a show called Floss Weekly this past Wednesday, and they were going through Flutter, which is mainly designed for mobile, but it was written in Dart. And actually, just for giggles, I watched the tutorial video, which shows, oh, this is what you can do. And I'm the funniest part about it is I'm looking at, this is how you can change the UI for this one widget. In this case, the widget was a button. And I'm looking how they're doing all this. I'm going, Java, 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 Java. Because it reminds me so much of, sorry about that, my cat knocked off my mouse. But what it reminded me so much of was programming for Java Swing, where you programmatically would draw everything. If you needed you could, it was a little more elegant to a certain degree, because you create panels and then you assign layouts to that panels. In this case, the panels and the layouts are one object. So each widget has its own kind of layout that you can use when you use a containerized a widget that acts as a container. So I'm looking at that and going, you're redoing the way Java did its UI. It's like, it looks awfully darn familiar to me, because I've done this for years. And I have not looked completely at the Dart language. I might look at it. In theory, I could possibly redo it in Dart and possibly write it as a Flutter app, which would be interesting, as long as I don't have to worry about the communication portion. If I can come up with a new way of communicating, which is one thing I was working on for the game server, have it so that it was completely, basically, an IRC based on web interface. You would still use all the IRC commands, but the session and all that kind of thing would be stored on the server, and then you would actually get the commands back, and you could still communicate in IRC, which is what the back end, the communication platform currently is for SFU Online, and which a lot of people know. Obviously, there are other servers that support gaming in a better way, where you can have the rooms and so forth, so you can do the chatting, and then you can actually store these objects on the server and that kind of thing. I'd have to look that up, but it would be possible to rewrite it maybe in Flutter, because one thing currently they only support mobile, but as Randall Schwartz, who's a Flutter fanatic, and actually he is a official Google something, I forgot it not. Basically, he's passed all the tests so that he can actually teach Dart. Basically, he said it in the podcast. I don't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, one thing he definitely saw in one of the things that are to come is basically. Have you ever heard of Electron?
What's that?
Have you ever heard of Electron?
Electron.
Yeah.
Is that a programming language, or is
No.
that a?
No.
You're not talking about the physics protocol.
No, I'm not. What I'm talking about is things like the Slack client, VS Code. What else? I'm thinking about what are Electron-based apps. Basically, what Electron apps are basically a JavaScript app bound by an instance of Chrome. And that becomes the application. I think people use like React Native or something like that. But anyway, yeah, what?
Yeah. At this point, my brain is trying to listen to you, but I need to concentrate on driving, and I need to get off the phone so I can concentrate on driving, or I'm gonna crash.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. Well, yeah, you have a good night.
I can only do it for so long, and then my brain gets tired, especially under dark, rainy conditions.
Understood.
Okay. Hey, good night.
Okay. You have a Merry Christmas.
All right. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, we're going to be tying up things quite quickly. Just for those in the audience who have never heard, as I mentioned, when it comes to Electron is, things like Slack, where basically what it is a web-based UI. They use JavaScript to develop a UI that, and I think like React Native, tie that into an actual instance of Chrome. And that's how they deliver the application. Because if you ever the thing, I'm going to mention this real quick, and I'm going to move off because of it's tech related and not SFB related. And that is that what that seems to me indicate with actual Microsoft going that way too. They're switching out the engine for their Edge browser to be Chrome. Their Chromium is going to be their drawing engine instead of their own drawing engine, and which makes the ecosystem quite smaller, which is really awful in my mind. Instead of having an open standard and force everyone to go against an open standard. But anyhow, that just seems to indicate what they might be doing is doing what we did with Java. Well, what was old is new again. That is, I can easily imagine them taking that core Chrome modules, the DLLs, whatever, shared libraries, whatever that needs to be used, delivered a shared copy for everybody. So you have one copy, and then you actually deliver a Electron-based app, and what it does, it uses the shared copy that's with the application. And then one thing that Microsoft just announced yesterday, which is the whole idea of each application that they have can run under a sandbox, a mini VM, so that in that case, with Electron-based app, you can actually have the shared code, but it'd be read-only because of the sandboxing for that application. So you wouldn't have to worry about it being corrupted from the different applications. Obviously, there's there's always the version hell problem where um your application is you is supports a certain version of uh, the subsystem that you're relying on, the APIs and so forth. In this case, the Chromium engine, you might rely on, it's version 10, and someone installs version 11 on your machine. Now you're using version 11, but your application never been tested on version 11. So I can see that happening all over again, because the whole idea was originally with Java is that you installed a JVM onto your computer, and then that could be the shared code, the shared binaries that you would share among all of your applications. And what actually has changed, and for like Mac and for Windows, is that JVM has become embedded in the application itself. So you have multiple copies of a JVM all over your system. And that's fine for the most part. The only time that becomes an issue, obviously, is with a mobile app, because you want to minimize the amount of space used by an application. But anyhow, but one thing I was mentioning was that Flutter. One thing that Randall Schwartz found out, which was that Flutter, in theory, could actually create desktop applications as a replacement to Electron. And hopefully that would be a lot smaller and more compact than having the full Chromium rendering engine with all its issues, all its bloat as part of your application. While with Dart and Flutter, you can actually minimize it, so you wouldn't have nearly the issues. So I think we'll wrap up the evening with that. I wish everyone a happy Christmas, and if you do not listen to me before the new year, have a happy new year. I will be doing another recording, another podcast in a week's time on December 27th. At least that is the plan. I see no reason why that would change, but obviously, if that changes, I will tell you, and we'll see what we come up with for that week's episode. So with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.